So again, these barriers, I'm going to move through them really quickly, and these are barriers I feel that relate to distribution issues, not how do we build a wonderful local sustainable regional food system. So one of the major barriers at the farm level really is that there's an inadequate food supply at the farm level. No single farm can meet the food needs of one large institution. And then at a regional level, our food is really being misdirected. The food that we can be eating in Southern California that's grown within California even is going outside of California to other countries. So we're missing really the opportunity to feed ourselves locally off of what we grow. And there's another long laundry list there. In terms of distribution firms, I found when I spoke to them, some of the barriers that they highlighted were really the high cost of local foods, and as well as the difficulty in finding it because it's an unaggregated food supply and it's limited. So, and there's some more up there as well. And then why are institutions not buying local food? There's a variety of reasons that food service directors and institutions throw up in front of us that they say makes it difficult for them to purchase local foods. And I think the number one barrier we hear is that there's inadequate kitchen facilities and labor shortages, so they can't really handle the raw product that's coming into them, as well as the high cost of these foods and their tight food budgets that they have to work with. So the next slide I threw in here just to sort of put in there about nonprofits ourselves and why we are finding it a little difficult to produce the solutions to the distribution problems that we're finding. You know, we're doing a great job advocating for these things and identifying these barriers and these problems, but we ourselves are having problems developing those solutions that we know we need. And I think there are many reasons for that. And one is that, you know, we are dependent on grant funding and we compete for grant funding. And the funding that does exist doesn't allow us to actually invest in businesses or buying infrastructure or the development of any infrastructure or equipment that's actually going to resolve some of those issues that we continually identify. And then there's just a few other things in there. And one, too, I'd like to mention is that we talk a lot about pilots, I think. And at least for myself, I know that if I think about pilots, I think of that as sort of a one-off thing, and I launch into it looking at it as a small project. And I think it's beneficial to reframe that and sort of think of these longer-term things and that they're going to be applicable and affect a larger number of people rather than one school site and one food service director. That's just my soapbox. So the opportunities that we've highlighted in this report really, again, relate to distribution, and therefore we're talking about distribution systems. And luckily in Southern California and LA, which is a big place, there are a lot of opportunities and systems already in place that are moving local foods throughout Southern California, throughout California itself. And I've highlighted a few of those. They are obviously large and small distribution firms for a number of years have already proved that it's possible to source locally grown foods, to bring it to their warehouses, to pack it, and to deliver it to typically restaurants and hotels and people with big food budgets, but it's possible, it's happening. There's also at least 5 school distribution firms that work in LA that get 90% of their business from school food sales. Those are, you know, chicken McNuggets and pre-chopped iceberg lettuce, but they're also somebody that we really need to be focusing our attention on. And there's also shipping firms in Southern California that buy locally grown fruits and vegetables and ship them across the nation. Obviously, at that point, they're more about specialty foods. They're not local so much, but I think we have a lot to learn in terms of how they gather their food, pack it, and ship it, and maintain its appearance by the time it gets to Colorado, and it's been in Southern California for a while. So then there's always the tried and true farmer direct that we love and want to continue to see happen. And there's farmers markets. We have over 97 farmers markets in Southern California. Whether that's good or bad, that's actually 97 in LA County. So that's not counting Ventura, San Diego, and Orange County, which also have a large number of farmers markets. And lastly, we have the DoD program in Southern California. It's run by a single produce firm. They go around sourcing food for the program. They sell it to those school distribution firms who then in turn sell it back to schools. So what we did based on these barriers and opportunities was develop 5 strategies we thought would help to move and increase the flow of good food throughout Southern California. I'm going to talk as quickly as I can about 4 of these strategies. However, the 5th one relates to WIC, and I think these 4 that I'm going to talk about relate mostly to farm to school. What we strive to do in designing these strategies was really design them to overcome these barriers we've identified and leverage our opportunities, facilitate efforts to scale up food. Everybody wants to be doing that. They want to make this a mainstream thing. So trying to do that while keeping values that we all hold so dear. Also increase the number and variety of farm-to-school programs and local food programs. So different ways of delivering food may actually encourage different types of programs, and we didn't want to stifle that. So also we wanted to offer multiple mechanisms and scales of distribution. We don't want to turn away that one very enthusiastic mom by a giant minimum order, or her not having a relationship with a farmer. So we want to encourage all these kinds of scales and mechanisms, as well as we hope that these are things that are replicable, you know what I'm saying, in your regions, because we are trying to build these strategies around core elements that can be found in your regions. So the first one that I'll be discussing is what we are calling the local school food line. So this is really sort of a new way to imagine pitching local foods to food service directors, as well as distribution firms and any other clients that will be buying local foods. So again, we've designed it as a tool for distribution firms to use so that they can increase their sales of local foods to, as Gail put it, those gatekeepers. We want to make this as easy as possible for those food service directors to implement. So we want to make distribution firms in Southern California, we want to give them services that they can provide to schools, that schools will then go, hey, that's the go-to firm for farm to school. I'm going to obviously go to them to buy my foods. Again, we've designed this hopefully to overcome issues of quality, price, inadequate kitchens, all those barriers that keep getting thrown up at us. And we do that really by promoting just basic local food items that are durable and require minimal handling. We could probably argue the merits about the foods that we've chosen, but for example, oranges, cherry tomatoes, apples are sort of an example of some of those food products. So the hope is to streamline food choices and meet basic institutional needs. So again, that's that local school food line, which is focusing on those foods, standardizing foods, keeping the cost of food as low as possible, when possible, provide value-added products, and avoid some of those highly perishable and or unsafe foods so that we can avoid kind of putting a bad taste in food service directors' mouths and then them getting turned off from local and never wanting to go back to it by giving them some spinach that's going to spoil within a day and they're going to get frustrated. A new service we've just kind of come up with, which I'm really excited to try and see how it's going to go down, is what we're calling the rotating salad bar service. And this is a ready-to-use, fully reimbursable local salad bar that will arrive at school kitchens, either a central kitchen or a school site. It will come with everything from the salad bar itself to pre-chopped, washed fruits and vegetables, serving equipment, salad dressing, proteins, everything you need to make sure you're complying with the federal school lunch program. We also thought, since we're going to be at the processors anyway at that point, why don't we try and develop a product for those schools that have a salad bar but don't source local foods? So putting together basically the exact same thing in a box and delivering it to the schools so that all they have to do is open it and put it into the salad bars that they do have. And last is the Harvest of the Month, which is really Harvest of the Month local food pack or box, as you want to call it, which is really includes all those items that teachers or school food service directors need to implement the Harvest of the Month program, from the food that you taste test with to the supplemental educational activities, to the stickers that kids wear that say, hey, I tasted this, and gets them fired up about participating in Harvest of the Month.